Hello, everyone. So, I've come across this very stupid interview yesterday between Elon Musk and Ben Shapiro on the European Jewish Association's conference. They basically emasculated, or should I say, emusculated Elon by bringing him to Auschwitz after he has been taken a while back to Israel as well. And they've just been wiping the floor with his dignity left and right for a stupid tweet he did in the past, which I personally think is also a stupid tweet. However, this thing has overgrown so much, way out of proportion of what it should have just been. It could have been solved with a small apology. And Musk is known for doing stupid stuff. However, you'll see throughout this interview the gaslighting and the falsification and the manipulation of Western audiences as they usually do. And this is typical of Zionists because this is all they know how to do. It's just manipulation, falsifying of truths, gaslighting, making you feel guilty just for standing up for what's right. Let's get started with this crap.
This was made out of a rocket. A rocket fell on a kindergarten in Be'eri in Israel, and it was a miracle that kids were not killed doing this when the rocket fell. It's an artist, Israeli artist named Yoram Bob, who take this artist and use it in order to show a message, how even rockets could become a symbol for never again. Thank you very much.
Notice how he's standing. He's not even standing upright, and he's just nodding his head like this. Body language says a lot, people. And you can see that this guy has been so humiliated in the past few months, and this is now the climax. Well done, Elon. Well done.
If I may just, it's written here, presented to Mr. Elon Musk in January 2024, in recognition and appreciation of your fight against anti-Semitism and to mark your visit to Auschwitz from the European Jewish Association. Very much. Thank you.
So from the very beginning, this event starts with a small sideshow of theoretical tweets from the Holocaust. They're trying to show that if Twitter existed back in World War II, then it would have been impossible to hide what the Nazis were doing to Jews, which is absolutely true. Then they go on claiming that it would have saved millions of lives. I don't know, because what is social media doing to save Palestine? I mean, we're watching a genocide unfold before our eyes in 4K, as many people say, and there's nothing done. It's just humanity 2024. Welcome to planet Earth. Great time. So let's start with this.
Elon, obviously, we walked Auschwitz. I said I hadn't been there before either. First of all, just wanted to get your thoughts on what it was like to walk Auschwitz and Birkenau today.
Well, it was incredibly moving and deeply sad and tragic that humans could do this to other humans.
The boss of Twitter, or X, everything being shown on his platform, it hasn't been moving. It hasn't been sad. But going to Auschwitz to commemorate something that happened more than half a century ago, yeah, it's devastating.
It's good to have the memorial, as the plaque says, so that it never happens again. No, I mean, I'm a student of history, so I'd seen the pictures, I'd seen the videos, but it's not quite. It hits you much more in the heart when you see it in person. I'm still absorbing, frankly, the magnitude of the tragedy that I witnessed, or the place where the tragedy occurred. But I think it'll take a few days to sink in, frankly.
Okay, no, this is wow. This is it's gonna take him days to process. He got traumatized. Poor guy. We're seeing kids in pieces. We're seeing families. We're seeing homes just down to the ground, complete destruction. And this is a memorial. This is what destroyed him and is traumatizing him. It needs days to process. Shame on you, man. Shame on you. This guy is such a disappointment. Back when COVID was happening, his platform was the only reason the truth was coming out in a very efficient way. And we were so grateful to his work. He just left it open, let the real journalists do their work and spread the truth, and we were so grateful. Now he's doing the exact opposite because Israel. the holy Israel. No one can touch. No one can even criticize them. Not even attack them, just criticize them. Look what they've done to him. So shameful. So shameful.
And setting the new standard for the town square, as I say, has allowed for more speech and more availability of information than ever before, certainly on the platform. And you recently didn't just go here. Obviously, after October 7th, you went to Israel and you saw the wages of horrific anti-Semitism in the various kibbutzim and moshavim.
I saw all the videos. I saw a lot of video. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was shocking to see. I think maybe the.
So after October the 7th, you went to Israel.
This rat Ben Shapiro is just wow. Look, notice how he's leading him through the questions. It's like they've already rehearsed what they're gonna say to each other, and he's always acting like he's on the right and full on free speech and whatnot. But no, this guy is he's deep into media manipulation. Typical Zionist. They're all the same. They have their networking. They know each other and they know how to get things handled media wise. Despicable. October the 7th, after October. What did he see? He's saying, yeah, I saw everything in the kibbutzim. I saw the videos. What videos? Until this day, all the bullshit claims they did about October the 7th. What videos did we see where there were rapes and beheadings of babies and all those claims? Some Zionists, imagine guys, some Zionists went as far as claiming there was acts of necrophilia. You know what does necrophilia mean? It means having sex with a dead body, with cadavers. And how long was the whole operation? 5 hours. Like I said in my previous videos. You should go watch them if you still haven't.
The most shocking thing was to see the delight in killing innocent people, like the delight in killing kids and defenseless women and men, and there was no remorse. Quite the opposite. I mean, that requires a level of indoctrination that is extremely intense.
On what basis is he saying that? What delight? What no remorse? What videos is he talking about? What delight? It was a military operation. The guys went in, they showed what they did on their GoPros. Hostages were taken. Gunfights happened from people resisting. People got killed from both sides. On what basis is he going so deep and saying it requires lots of indoctrination and whatnot? The irony in all this is that the most indoctrinated population on this earth is the Israeli population. Again, with all the self-projection with the Zionists. But again, this is not him. This is just the script, you know. Look at his face. He's blushing. He's not even standing upright. He's don't take what he says seriously. This is just Zionist narrative, and they made the washing, and he's coming now and he's performing his part. Shame on you, man. So sad to see him like this.
I know enormous number of Jews, myself included, are very moved that you continue to wear the necklace in remembrance of the hostages. So I want to thank you for that, obviously, because raising the profile of the fact there's still dozens of men, women, and children.
I checked before I came. So many hostages. I hope they're alive. I hope they come back.
I checked before I came. So many hostages. I hope they're alive. His acting sucks. I didn't know there was a necklace now for the hostages. Wow. Amazing. There's October the 7th merch now, guys. Go and buy them before it runs out.
You know, looking at the pro-Hamas rallies in vast numbers that took place in almost every major city in the West blew my mind. And including on the elite college campuses that are supposed to be, you know, if you're an elite college campus, you're supposed to be enlightened. You're not supposed to be fostering hate. And yet you had these pro-Hamas demonstrations at Harvard, you know, Yale, including I went to UPenn, at Penn, and I was like, this is unbelievable.
Wow. Now they're called pro-Hamas rallies. This is so sad. So if you stand with Palestine, if you go and protest the mass killing of civilians, the brutal treatment of poor population in an open-air concentration camp, then you're a Hamas sympathizer. You're pro-Hamas, you're going to rallies. It's really bad, this language they use. I mean, how dare they say this? It pisses me off. Pro-Hamas rallies, like to be with Palestine, really they need to make up their mind. Either all Palestinians are Hamas or they're not. We can't keep just playing with words as we like, cherry picking just to manipulate the audiences. It's really not good.
I mean, there's a poll recently from Harvard-Harris showing that some 67% of people aged 18 to 24 said that the Jews were an oppressor class, which, you know, in America, Jews represent approximately 7 million Jews in the United States, out of 330 million Americans, tiny percentage of the population. But that ideology, that the Jews are an oppressor class, matches up very nicely and very closely with what is a conspiracy theory. At root, anti-Semitism is a conspiracy theory, and it's a conspiracy theory about power. And if you read Nazi literature, the Nazis literally promoted the idea that Jews were, of course, this small caste of people who were running all the major industries, who were standing behind all world power. Hitler's suggestion is that it was world Jewry that stood behind Germany's loss in World War I, and then the Allies' unwillingness to make a deal with Germany prior to World War II. And that theory of power and group identity is really ugly, and we see echoes of it today. I mean, the diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology that basically suggests that all of society is a vast pyramid of group identity, and that at the very top are the people who are successful, and that those people are exploiting everybody else. And we can tell who's successful by their group identity, not by their level of success, by their group identity.
Yes.
That matches up incredibly. It syncs up almost a Venn diagram circle with anti-Semitism.
Okay, so Ben is known for many things. Honesty is not being one of them. The right in America, unfortunately, considers him an intellectual. I think his brain and physical size would be this big, maybe, perhaps this big. Not much. He's a real idiot, but he's an evil idiot. Whatever little brain he has, this is what he uses it for, to spread Zionist propaganda and bullshit. So let's examine Ben's claim, yeah? I'm gonna just present the data, and you guys do your own conclusions. I'm in enough trouble with the algorithms, so I'm not gonna say much. Jews, as far as we can tell, are about 2 to 2.5% of the population. Muslims, 1 to 1.6. Of course, when we look at the Congress, there's the upper house, which is the Senate, and the lower house, which is the House of Representatives. The Senate has 100 members, the House of Representatives, 435. So if we look at their representation in the United States Congress, you will see that in the Senate, out of the 100 members, you have nine senators. That's 9%. How much are they of the population? Because, you know, the Senate, the Congress or parliaments around the world, they're supposed to be a representation or a reflection of the population because they supposedly represent you. So from 2%, 2.4%, we have 9% in the Senate. And in the House of Representatives, which is the lower house, you have 26 members out of the 435. So that means it's 6%. 9 and 6%. Yeah? But even then, still okay, not a huge number. But bear with me. I'm gonna show you some more interesting stuff. The government is basically made up of 26 members, meaning ministers, what we call as ministers. They call them secretaries. Out of the 26, 25 are ministers, and only one is the vice president. Let's examine the past 4 presidents' cabinets. They're ministers, basically. They're advisors, the people next to them. This is the Jewish virtual library. I prefer to call it the Zionist online propaganda machine. It's very important that we keep differentiating between Judaism and Zionism. So this is George Bush's list of Jews operating in his cabinet. This also includes ambassadors, consultants. Look at this. Look how many ambassadors are there. Why is this important, you think? Because it helps to shape the United States foreign policy when everyone is so surprised why the United States is dead on, always supporting Israel. Aside that it's their forward military base in the Middle East, the two governments are very intertwined into each other. Many people, especially those called conspiracy theorists, some say Israel controls the United States, others say United States control Israel. Naturally, the superpower is what controls the smaller one at the end of the day. But the fact is, they're both controlled by a much smaller secretive group that controls way many more countries than just these two. But again, let's leave that. I'm just gonna show you simple stuff, yeah? What's online and easy to find, all open, nothing secret. Next administration, Barack Obama. And mind you, Bush had 2 terms, from 2001 to 2009. Obama, again, 2 terms. Look at all this. Obama had a very, very big expansion of Jewish members of his cabinet. Next administration, Trump. Interesting also to know that Ivanka, his daughter, married Jared Kushner, which was a part of his administration. Here he is, senior advisor. And she converted to Judaism. And they're so proud of it that Ivanka is the first member of the first family that is Jewish. They love to, they consider this stuff milestone. Biden, again, notice that in Trump's administration and in Bush's administration, they're much less, still a lot, but much less. That's because, if you didn't know, in the United States in general, the Jewish vote is 70 to 80% goes to the Democrat Party. So it's just, what color you wear, blue or red. At the end of the day, they're both wings of the same bird, It's the same death machine, the United States. This list is the list of Jews in American cabinets. Something interesting. So these were mixed positions. But when you look at the high-end cabinets, which is the equivalent of minister in the rest of the world, this is the current cabinet. You see here, there's Merrick Garland, Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, Secretary of State, which is the Internal Affairs Department or Ministry in other countries, Tony Blinken, who also served in previous cabinets. You'll notice here that Treasury under Biden, under Trump, under Obama, again in Obama's first term. Then you have here, in Bush it wasn't. In Bill Clinton, again, Secretary of Treasury. In Bill Clinton's first term, again, Secretary of Treasury. And Jimmy Carter. Here in between we have Ronald Reagan. He didn't have a Jewish Secretary of Treasury. I wonder, why always Secretary of Treasury? They criticize countries like Lebanon, for example, that are full of chaos and lots of nepotism and whatnot, where every religion, in the guise of parties, has a ministry in their name. Always their person has to come. Can I say it's the same over here? I don't know. I leave it to you. It's interesting because Secretary of the Treasury is basically a Ministry of Finance in other countries. Money, 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 money. Here's another list. We can go. We see George Bush, minimal. Barack Obama, huge list. Joe Biden, huge list. It's just insane. These are the lower levels. These are ministers basically without portfolio, they call them in other countries, which they don't head a specific cabinet. So yeah, Ben can say whatever he wants. And I can show you whatever I want, and you make up your minds. They can keep calling it conspiracy theory, whatever.
It's quite a shock.
The crossover between some of these rallies on college campuses in favor of Hamas, I mean, they unite the weirdest coalitions maybe in human history. You'll see LGBTQ flags in favor of Hamas, where, of course, if an LGBTQ person were to be actually in the Gaza Strip, they would no longer be in the Gaza Strip, they would be dead.
Yes, exactly.
And that coalition is...
That's like seriously out of touch.
Yeah.
Hamas, 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 Hamas.
And Musk is like, yeah, like how stupid they are. So yeah, I'm actually glad they said this, because this proves what we're saying, is that these are not pro-Hamas rallies. These are humans in solidarity with other humans facing something very atrocious. Ugly stuff has happened in human history, including the Holocaust. But I am very sure, and I am a student of history, not Musk, what is going on in Gaza today and in Palestine in general, but specifically Gaza, the open-air concentration camp, has never happened before. Never. Especially with the scale of destruction they experience every few years, and this has been the most destructive so far. So this is the culmination of it all. There has never been something like that in history. So when you see someone waving an LGBT flag in a protest, it says a lot about them. I don't want to open a side topic, but in general, LGBTQ people, not all of them, but those that love to display flags, they're like vegans. Whenever they meet you, within 5 minutes of the conversation, somehow they have to squeeze it in that they're a vegan or that they are LGBTQ. So they'll get their flags to the protest. That doesn't mean it decreases the protest's validity or authenticity, and it doesn't mean they're actually stupid people for actually supporting them. Because basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, what they're trying to say is that Hamas, since it's an Islamist group and Islam is not tolerant towards homosexuality, they will probably get killed right away in Gaza. That's what they keep saying. So again, why would an LGBTQ person do that? Unless they're stupid like Musk is doing. Oh yeah, of course. No, they're actually there because they're supporting Palestine. Palestine as a state, as a nation, as a people suffering. And that's very honorable of them, regardless of what their sexual orientation is or their background. So they try to take what's going on the ground and shape it in a way that suits their sick narrative. But the reality is no, they keep getting exposed because they are so weak. They are so weak. Their narratives are weak. Their brains are weak. They are just pathetic people.
What do you make of the future of a West if the West continues to embrace that idea?
Well, I think we really need to stop this principle that the weaker, normally weaker party is always right. This is simply not true. If you are, in quotes, oppressed or the weaker party, it doesn't mean you're right. Because if some of those, weaker groups want to annihilate you, that does not make them good. We have to get rid of the rule that if you're weaker, you're automatically good. That's obviously makes no sense.
Okay, stop. I have to stop him here. Man to man, they are much stronger, and we've seen the performance of the fighters. So let's stop kidding ourselves. However, yes, army versus military group. Of course, Israel has tremendous firepower. Firepower, not troops. Firepower is tremendous, and we're seeing the level of destruction going on. In this case, yeah, the weaker party, which is Hamas, is actually the ones right, and the Palestinians. So what he's saying is true in isolation, but in this case, I don't even understand how is this happening, really. It's really sad to see Musk do this. Look at his hair even. His hair from here, it's like popping out from the yarmulke they made him wear. It even has the EGA's logo. Like what this is merch now. Yarmulkes are supposed to be worn in synagogues, when you're going to do prayer. Why are they even making him wear it in Auschwitz? It's so strange. But you're gonna hear what he says.
You mentioned earlier, that you're aspirationally Jewish, that you surround yourself with, that you're surrounded by so many Jews. So, are you part of the Jewish conspiracy? What exactly is the?
Maybe.
That'll please the haters online.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, I mean,
Aspirationally Jewish. So basically, Elon Musk went from this badass.
If somebody's gonna try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself. But go f*** yourself. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's very clear. What happened, tough guy? What happened? They completely emasculated him. So sad. This was a couple of months ago when he was facing issues. This is actually what triggered the whole thing, the Anti-Defamation League. It is a Jewish organization in the United States that's standing against anti-Semitism and all that. I hate using that term. It's supposedly protecting Jews, but it's a manipulation propaganda machine. And he got in trouble because of the stupid tweet he did. I'm going to show you the tweet. This is what got him into huge trouble with the Zionists. This guy is saying that this is something they love to push in right-wing circles, that the white population, there's a conspiracy to replace them with immigrants, and this is all being done by Jews, specifically Jews in the West. And all he said was, you have said the actual truth. And again, this is really stupid because yes, while they are in very key positions, to actually give authenticity to such a hateful tweet is not good, because if that guy doesn't just hate Jews as a blanket, he should have spoken about Zionism, he should have been more specific. But when you just say Jews, of course that will spread what they call anti-Semitism, which is again a stupid word. I'm going to make a specific episode just discussing this term, anti-Semitism, and why it's wrong and why we shouldn't use it. Anti-Judaism is fine, Judeophobia, just like there's Islamophobia. So all he said was, you have said the actual truth. And he got in trouble with the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, and advertisers started withdrawing their deals from Twitter. They stopped advertising, specifically Disney and Apple, and that's why he said,
Hey, Bob. If you're in the audience.
"Hey Bob, if you're in the audience," after he said to go fuck yourself, which is Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney. He went from this much cojones to microscopic.
It really has come completely full circle from, or 180 degrees from what has historically been the case. So through most of history, the operating principle has been might makes right. So yeah, for really up until modern times, might makes right was if you were stronger, you were right. Now we've sort of flipped it to if you're weaker, you're right. But neither is true. There is rightness independent of strength or weakness. Just because somebody's strong doesn't mean they're right, and because somebody's weak doesn't mean they're right. You have to look at morals in the absolute.
Again, in isolation, yes, strength doesn't have anything to do with who's right or wrong. However, so-called student of history, no, it hasn't changed actually. And what's going on in the world shows us that might is going on unpunished. They have full impunity. Superpowers, bad people, big criminals, corrupt generals and leaders of countries. No one's getting punished. No one's getting touched. Nothing is happening to them. It's only the little guy that's eating shit all day. So let's stop kidding ourselves. Might, unfortunately, in this sick world, in this corrupt world system, is what's making right. And no one can deny that. They're just depressed and so butthurt, the Zionists, that, oh, the youth are changing their perception on Israel and the Middle East in general, and they're starting to realize that they've been lied to their whole lives, and there's much more to the story than what they're being told.
Elon, you talk a lot about your hope for humanity. Say that you're somebody who really loves humanity, which is why you talk about expanding humanity's.
Loves humanity, yeah. Yeah, loves humanity and lives by morals. We can see whom is he siding with. He has money, so much money. World's richest man. It's okay, bro. What's the worst they can do to you? You're gonna lose a few millions, a couple billion. So what? So what? Continue with what you were doing. I know he's not a perfect person, but for a while he was doing a lot of good stuff. But unfortunately, turns out I wasn't right. This is a very morally corrupt person for doing what he's doing. What's the worst they could have done to him? Did they come at gunpoint and threaten his family? Come on. It's so low, so cheap. But again, this is business. This is the capitalist world. These are big tycoons. This is what they do. Don't expect from them heroic stuff. They didn't reach, the top of the ladder of capitalism by being good people with high moral standards. So yeah, you just do the math.
Unless we are indoctrinated otherwise. And so we have to stop that indoctrination.
So how do you think that people ought to pursue that? Because obviously we have seen indoctrination at a wide variety of levels, ranging from sort of soft indoctrination in various schools in the West to very, very hard indoctrination that you see in, for example, the Gaza Strip, where kids are literally, unfortunately, at very young ages, they have graduation ceremonies that we've seen tapes of where they're reenacting kidnapping of Israeli soldiers or killing of Israeli soldiers, for example.
Where is Ben Shapiro saying stuff like that? Seriously, where is he? Like, why doesn't he post such stuff? Talking out of his ass. Indoctrination. Yeah, they claimed also that they found Mein Kampf fully, like, within the rubble and destruction. Like, it was a full, perfect copy. No dust, no nothing on it, no damage, and it's like in Arabic. And look at the youth, they're reading Mein Kampf. Dani Hagari, the spokesperson of the IDF, the guy with the famous funny video, of the days of the week, calling him like the terrorists and their schedules. They are so exposed. I don't even understand whom are they catering to. Who's the idiot still listening to these people and their conspiratorial claims? They're the conspiracy theorists. They're the ones that are full of shit and they're reeking. And their day is coming for standing for all these atrocities, standing with evil, doing the devil's work on earth. Their day is coming. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. It's coming and it's not long. It's not long. It's gonna come soon.
The education of kids in Gaza, the indoctrination of hate into kids in Gaza has to stop. So it's, when I was in Israel, I was like, that was my top recommendation, is that you've got to make sure I understand the need for this to invade Gaza, and unfortunately, some innocent people will die.
Wow, his top recommendation, but he understands the need of invasion. Wow, man, and some people have to die. This is the problem with these colonial mentality people. They talk about the Middle East and third world countries like it's like you're playing a video game. Everything is macro and from far away. Human life doesn't matter as much when they talk about their own neighborhood. It's really ugly. It feeds into all the stuff that Orientalism built early on of the late 19th century, early 20th century. And it's really sad. Even if we're to say it's indoctrination, fine. Why? Why does it exist? All of what Israel has been doing, and before them the British, since 1917, since that curse fell upon them of that invasion and taking of their land, the occupation, all the atrocities they've been through, all the hardships, the trials and tribulation they went through, what do you expect of them?
Well, when I look at the United States, one of the things that seems to be breaking down, and when the first element historically, maybe the last element of a society in a state of mental decline, is a vast outbreak of anti-Semitism. This is what was happening in not only Nazi Germany, but historically, countries that are in a state of decline tend to have wild outbreaks of anti-Semitism. And it seems to me that one of the key things that can reverse that process is the rebuilding of local institutions. Mm-hmm. And as local institutions break down, you see sort of this fragmentation of the population at large.
This guy is despicable. Seriously. I don't know. Zionists, they look at Jews like they're this super rare panda that needs to be saved and taken care of, and like it's this super brilliant human being. They're just humans. Jews are humans like any other human. So for him, the climax of a society breaking down is that it starts experiencing mass outbreaks of anti-Semitism. Who says that? This is considered a super intellectual. A workhorse of intellectualism on the right. He's an idiot. He's a pseudo-intellectual. And he became so famous and rich out of spewing bullshit all day. If you look at his channel, The Daily Wire, they say occasionally good stuff about family, and you have guys that work there that have said occasionally good stuff, but then they ruin it by saying a lot of hateful and disgusting stuff. And surprise, surprise, Jordan Peterson now works with them. It's been a year since. Lots of bigots. This guy is full of hate, and he just spews it all day, and then he tells you,
well, society is experiencing a lot of polarity these days. A lot of polarity, and it's breaking down society.
No, you're breaking down society. You're the asshole that keeps spewing this kind of stuff.
Obviously, where we visited today, the big takeaway always is never again. I think that the question that a lot of Jews worldwide asked after October 7th and after that wild upsurge of anti-Semitism, which we've seen, the Jew hatred that continues now, is whether never again really for a lot of people meant never again between the years 1939 and 1945, or whether it actually means never again like right now. As in, if there's a genocidal group that wishes to kill lots of Jews, is that something that you wish to stand up against right now?
What a stupid question. Never again 1945 or never again today? Never naturally, you idiot, means never. It's not gonna happen again. So yeah, that's what the slogan stands for. And now you're gonna listen to what Elon's gonna say to him. He actually ruins his script. Check this out.
Somewhat mitigated, or people may have had more information. Or been able to, certainly been able to escape earlier. I mean, one of the things that's astonishing, obviously, about the history of the Holocaust is how many Jews, because they were only getting partial information, it was slow and it was gradual, and by the time they wanted to get out, it was just too late for them to get out. What are your hopes that never again is a real thing?
I mean, I certainly hope there's not a Holocaust stuff.
How realistically is it?
I think it's unlikely, frankly. So at least if you say I mean, I could be naive, but I think the probability of a Holocaust in the West is extremely tiny.
True.
I think if you look at, say, the Nazis, I think Hitler got like a third of the vote or something like that when he was he was sort of semi-elected, and then
So he ruined the narrative for him. Because he's always trying to show that there's a scare, that there's rising anti-Semitism, there's gonna be a second Holocaust. I just showed you the cabinet members, and they're into everything in the West. They control so much. And it's not just them. There's a Christian Zionist as well. But it's one power. They're serving the same secretive groups. These devil worshippers that are destroying the world. They are serving the same people. They work for the same powers. So let's stop kidding ourselves. It's not gonna happen a Holocaust. You know what's the biggest risk? Who's a victim also in the Middle East? The Israelis. The Jews that have been forcefully deported from Europe to Palestine. And they've set up for them circumstances in which they are at a high risk of such a thing happening to them because of all the bad stuff they did over there. If we go back to October the 7th, you remember what we said in the previous video. October the 7th, Hamas goes in, there were very specific objectives, and they finish most of them successfully. After that, irregulars, as in people of Gaza, angry people. By the way, Gaza used to be much larger, and through time they just kept eating away from it. So most of the farms that are now full of the kibbutzim that Ben Shapiro keeps talking about, these kibbutzim are actually lands of the Gazans, and they started going there, and lots of them have revengeful spirits. So if any atrocities happened, yes, most of these people got their hands on guns, or they were hiding some, and they went in and they extracted revenge killings. It's very possible. It's very plausible. I won't deny that. We need to make a deeper investigation, but it's very possible that that happened. However, what do you expect of such people after all the stuff we are witnessing? And this is just now. Imagine it's been happening since 1917. What do you expect of them? Let's stop kidding ourselves. The interview now is finally ended. It's been very funny and sad at the same time. In Arabic, we call it al-mudhik al-mubki, the funny that makes you cry. And now, to add insult to injury, Elon Musk gets ceremonially emasculated. Let's watch how, again, they bring that stupid rocket souvenir and they take a photo with them.
Thank you very much, Elon. Thank you, Ben, for very, very interesting interview. Thank you for the questions and thank you for the answers. I would like now, please, to call the 10th President of the State of Israel, Reuven Rivlin, and Dr. Joël Merguier, the President of the Consistoire of Paris, for...
Yeah, a bunch of guys come. Okay. Here he tells him, you've been a good boy. Very proud of you. Don't repeat it again. Don't repeat it. I left one testicle.
Dr. Joël Merguier, the President of the Consistoire of France.
One next time.
We'll take, please, a picture before we move on with the program. Yeah, please do.
No,
okay.
Wow. You see how small the rocket is? This is a fragment, probably of a Qassam rocket. This is what's been terrorizing them and scaring them. But rockets that barely fit in a room, falling on children, this is not never again. This is every day. It's okay. It's okay, they're just Palestinians. You know, their lives aren't worth much, yeah? It's okay. Shame on each one of you. All of you, your day is coming. And then don't cry. When the shit hits the fan, don't cry. There will be no time to repent. So finally, I would like to send a message to anyone watching whom still has doubts or still has sympathies for the Israeli side. Time is running out. Regardless of the outcome of this current war, we see where the trend is going. The Zionist narrative crumbling day by day. Their troops have zero morale. It's faltering. They are resorting to very nasty tactics. They are asking for help from the whole world. Yemen now is getting bombed by the US, UK, and the coalition, including traitor Arab countries. Please find it in your heart, at least, to try to view things from a different perspective. Start doing more research. Talk to more people. Arabs, Palestinians, people involved in this, people who know a lot about this. Just take a moment to think that maybe my whole life I've been lied to about this. And it's time to seek the truth. Save your ass while there's still time. Because what is going on in the region, and in Palestine more specifically, is building a huge time bomb. And again I say, when the shit hits the fan, don't go crying, because it's gonna be very hard to find mercy. Just go and see what's going on, and you'll understand what I'm saying. Thank you guys for watching, and see you soon on another episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.